Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Pathfinder Kingmaker. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're chose to join me today as we take care of the buildings that we have. We need to make a we need to construct a university. I'm not really sure how that's gonna turn out, but we got that last episode, and it's gonna be a jolly good old thing. It's gonna be all right. And we're gonna. Oh, you're busy with strengthening your skills. I can actually take care of that. Training. Because you're going to be better at this now. Okay, we can do that. Costs a bunch of money and takes a long time. But we're making money left and right. That's not a problem. Taking time is the problem. But fortunately, oh, I didn't save in between episodes. That's fine. Fortunately, we're doing our kingdom ups because there's this we have like 200 days until things are done, so we're just going to enjoy this for a little while. Let's go have a chat with the curator. This is going to be a lot of storytelling. It's just going to be more politicking than anything else, because the curator wants to talk to me about things that I will ramble about. Good news, your highness! Exclamation mark dash. The composer Lazio Messes has finished work on his opera. Now all he lacks is a venue suitable for a premiere of such consequence. I believe we should help him this time, period dash. Not in everything, of course, but if we allow him to set his stage up on the main square, we would allow his opera to gather the audience it deserves, without influencing its substance in any way. However, I would advise against funding the production, your highness. Theatrics only distract the viewer from the true meaning of what is happening on the stage. Yes, but also theatrics attract viewers to the stage in the first place. This guy is super short-sighted. Just in general. Also a terrible person. I forgot that he didn't want to pay for... He didn't think that people who make art should be paid. He didn't quite put it in those words, but that's what it amounted to. So, yeah, no. It's no. Let's see. So we have choices over here. The one that pays the... Lazio may build his stage upon the main square, and his production shall be funded as well. Let's go with that, because apparently nobody's paying for it. And more importantly, if he does it for free, because he probably would, because it's the main square, that's great, because people can come and see. And that as a boon to culture. Although, knowing this game is going to probably have a decrease in culture and loyalty or whatnot. And the storyteller says, it is not the decision I would make, but it is not up to me. It's a damn good thing it isn't. I'm not sure if it is a damn good thing or not, but it isn't. Again, I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of consequences there. We can continue that development, though, so that's good. And I don't know if I succeeded at my checks. Hopefully I did. So the curator is done. Level 9. Troubled Lands, a triumph. The general's patrols pushed the bandits into the depths of the woods. The battlefield experience was good for the soldiers, and peasants from other nearby lands started moving into the area, because they didn't like their houses as much. The law of the pike. The guards stood alongside the Hell Knights and helped them establish order. Many bandits were sent to the gallows. Well, that's a turn of events. I thought we were going to kill the Hell Kings. That's a typo there that I didn't notice before. Sure, whatever. Kill all the... For all I care, kill all the people and just murder and do all the things, because there's literally zero option with any of these things. The safe refuge here, the Orlovskis were impressed by the mansion... by the mansion that the region provided them as refuge. In luxury, it surpasses houses they keep back home. That's a Yoda sentence right there, because it's the phrase the other way around. And the well-guarded grounds inspire confidence. Not only are the Brevens grateful for this refuge, but they also wish to take up trade with their prosperous neighbors. Good. It's fine. The full-blooded over here. The High Priest's servants aided the guard in identifying and destroying a few vampires. Very hypocritical of me. I better hope that those vampires don't learn that I have a vampire in my court, because they would be like, why did you destroy me? You're clearly not bigoted against vampires. I mean, I don't actually know that might have been a bigoted... well, what bigoted here, meaning just really... How do you... It's kind of... Bigoted, it means different... It's kind of complicated using that word in the setting in specific, but also regarding vampires. The point is... I don't know if they were doing mean things. I thought they weren't. I thought it was... Yeah, I'm pretty sure they weren't. So it is a little bit just prejudice, at the very least. Because they were just pale, and they were like, I'm gonna kill you all. I think they weren't killing anybody. But anyway, while the counselor was taking part in a traditional ritual, a beam of magical radiance shone down upon her. The locals believe the council is favored by the gods and have developed tremendous respect for her. If only that worked like that. Maybe a bird would land in her pulpit or something, and she would be like, look, even nature agrees with me, and people all over the world. Strengthen the storyteller's skill as a curator. Wait a minute. We can do 2 strengthens? Yes. Yes, we can do 2 strengthens. Wow. That's unbelievable, honestly. I think that might be a... Well, that's definitely a first, but I think that might be a bug. The curator wants to talk to me, though, so we're going to have news on that university thing. And I'm going to ramble. Maybe not. Mistress Mess's opera has finally been staged, Your Highness. The premiere was a success. Both the audience and the critics... So we have an opera critics industry going on here. Were quite satisfied. Some noted that the production might have been a bit more grandiose, but I do not think the work would have benefited from that. So he probably would have benefited from that, because his opinions on the matter seem to have been wrong all along. I would say that the young composer has a long and illustrious career ahead of him. Oh, I didn't see what we got. We got pluses on everything. Gilladel, I wish to commend you for the great fulfillment we are witnessing under your rule. I speak of art, that most fanciful and gentle flower that only a ruler can truly grow. Perhaps not all of your subjects' creations flatter you, but that is merely an indication that the artists enjoy as much freedom in their lands as they like. Even though you were saying precisely the opposite before. That should teach me to never pay attention to what you're saying. Once, only bandits and peasants lived here, and obviously such scum isn't worthy of making art. But now a beautiful city has sprung up, full of energy and the sound of music that I like. I have always agreed with the decision, because, you know, bandits and peasants don't make music. I've not always agreed with the decisions you make, but I am happy that I was able to take part in the rebirth of the stolen lands. This game is doing a very bad job in making me actually proud of this goddamn country. It's all things that I have no control over, and these guys always have the wrong reasons for liking any of the things that are happening. I was gonna say any of the things that I'm actually doing, but I'm not actually doing a lot of things. It's oh my god. Oh no, that's support the curator's endeavors. That's a different thing. Yeah, you're gonna be busy doing that. I thought it was gonna be able to make 3 to upgrade him 3 times, but that is not the case. Okay, so we have other things to upgrade. This one should have an X on it, but it doesn't because it's still buggy. We got the Minister over here for Espionage. Oh, that's a fun one as well. The Regent for Community. Valerie, you're not very good at this, so let's make you good at this. Because it's mostly the result of these enterprises. The Treasurer managed to convince the circus to stay in the kingdom. The circus turned out to be both profitable and very popular. Profitable to whom, I wonder? The storyteller's training is complete. And we got events all over. Fey Backdoors. A mage from the College of Dimensional Studies in Katapesh has discovered a series of dimensional breaches through which the... my dimensional breaches, if you know what I mean. Through which the mischievous Fey can pass into our domain. But it's a one-sided thing that apparently... That's zany as hell. That it matters that it is one-sided. The Fog. A sinister fog has entered our lands. No, not the fog again. We've dealt with it, and we're going to spend our crisis points. Bandit's Outrage. How could I forget about that title that has an apostrophe after an S? Which is correct. It's just weird. Because, can you do that in English? Can you just say Bandit's Outrage? No, you can't. You could... You probably the easiest one to say would be Bandit Outrage, and transform the word bandit into an adjective. So it's a qualifier of outrage, rather than the possessive. The outrage of the bandits. So usually, instead of saying bandits' outrage, people will just say bandits' outrage. Because I think it's easier. Well, it's definitely easier than saying bandits'. But I believe the correct pronunciation. Everybody that I've asked this has told me that the correct way of saying that is bandits is. So you probably should say outrage of the bandits. Or just have a different title. I'd like to ask you for advice, Gilidel, says Valerie. 2 clans from the swamps are arguing over a meadow. Solid fertile ground is very valuable in the marches, especially when you have so many mouths to feed. What mouths are there in the march for them to feed? What are you talking about, Valerie? Clans. Okay, they're families. Right. The clan elders decide to determine the owner by a long-standing tradition. Okay, or decided. So they have their traditions. It's okay, that's good. Let them have them. Unless they're killing each other or anything like that. Here's the essence of it. 10 armed men from each clan will face each other in the meadow. The first clan to lose all its fighters relinquishes its claim to the land. It's a cruel tradition, yes it is, but they have been following it for many generations. Even if we prohibit the tradition, it will only make them angrier, and they'll seek to settle their scores by other means. Their way of life shouldn't be disturbed. An interesting conundrum. So instead of fighting in a full-out war, they have a small war, which is nice. But it is a fight to the death, which a war isn't. Or, historically speaking, it isn't. Because, you know, it's a very interesting thing to ramble about. I have rambled about such things. But not in this Let's Play. In other Let's Plays. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. Why wars aren't a fight to the death, historically speaking. The point is, here, obviously, it's the claiming of the ownership of the land. What I don't understand is, do they do this every year? The clan elders decided decided to determine to decide. They decide the owner of with a long-standing tradition. They fight, relinquishes its claim to the land. When does that happen? Like, you need to assume, like, the worrisome thing here is that this is an annual thing. Which is really bad, because the people who don't have the land are going to notice it the most, because they're going to be losing people left and right. It's 10 people, after all. A clan can't have more than a thousand or a couple of thousand at most. And I'm being generous there. There's probably 70 or 80 people from each clan. So it's a serious blow to it's like their best fighters or anything. It's like a serious blow. It's really bad. And even if they win, they're still going to lose people. It's a fight to the death, after all, so it's bad. But the point is, they're going to be starved, or less well fed, and so the next year, it's going to be even worse. So this is just it's one of those traditions that just serves to reinforce the powerful. And it sounds to me like whoever came up with, well, for one, whoever came up with this tradition wasn't the ones fighting. But also, this is a tradition that is very good for the people who are on top, or who are actually holding the land, because they stand a better chance to hold the land again next year or next week or whenever they do that. It's just really dumb, though. That's the problem of them, not the writing. The writing is good because it's an interesting conundrum. Deny the fight. This tradition is older than your kingdom, Gilidel. Valerie, I have pants that are older than my kingdom. Is it wise to interfere with other people's laws without first understanding them? It's not a law. Do you know what a law is, Valerie? You don't? Okay. Well, you should, because you're lawful. But that law doesn't mean laws. It's not a law, because it's not a decree. It's just tradition. So shut up. Get out of my face. Or I'm gonna fail your main quest again. Don't think I forgot it. Don't think I forgot your main quest, Valerie. I'm really proud of it, that I failed her main quest, because it was bollocks. Protectors of the Land provides a +1 morale bonus to armor class and saving throws while fighting in claimed territories. Not too bad. Valerie might... Yeah, this takes a while, but that's not a problem. We have a new rank up over here for Valerie. Unfortunately, that is indeed, yeah, it's probably going to be Valerie who's going to do that. So, somebody else needs to do this. Cirrus can do it. And, everything is good over here. So make sure that's done. Make sure that this is done. And you don't need that. Perfect. Cirrus does that. I save the game just in case. So, just in case something terrible happens. Increase the ranks. Oh, look at all. Yeah, because we're also doing that quest. We ranked up 75 times. Community has reached level 7. So Valerie will want to talk to me about more fights. And the bandits' outrage is being done. Nice. Relying on the services of mercenaries, the treasurer managed to put an end to the bandit attacks. The roads are safer for peasants and merchants alike. Regional markets and fairs attract more people than ever. That takes care of it. Herbalists. The region is rich in natural resources, but lacking in manpower. A group of foreign merchants begs permission to gather the local herbs and other rare ingredients, which they can sell for a hefty price at home. To secure this permission, they would be willing to pay a fee to the treasury. Lindsay is very good at this. Every one of them is very good at this. Lindsay is better than Canara, though, so let's send Canara instead. The balance over here, an envoy of balance and priestess of a wandering commune of ascetics, has deemed the kingdom to be upsetting the equilibrium in these lands. I have heard that before. I'll upset their equilibrium, all right. And Lindsay's going to go up there and do that. Hostilities over here. Clash of the Fanatics. See, that's how you title things. Hostilities have arisen between the priests of Abadar and Gozre. The priests of Gozre are incensed that the followers of Abadar have no fear of nature's wrath, while the followers of the god of cities consider them raving, uncouth simpletons. The situation is heating up. This, we were talking about universities before. The duality of city and country is a very romantic, and when I say romantic, I mean the literary movement of romanticism, or romanticism? I don't actually know which one it is, but it is a very romantic subject. And it started definitely in the contemporary age, in the 1800s, in real life. It was, you know, the rusticness of the fields and all this sort of stuff. It wasn't lost on people who lived before the 1800s. Obviously, people knew the distinction between buildings and the fields and all this sort of stuff. But the sensibility of having of this distinction, the sensibility of respecting nature as being somehow incompatible with cities was really propped up in the 1800s throughout the Romanticism, and that's when you see, like, the Victorian age is very influenced by that, and what came after as well. And so our understanding as, you know, modern day people of what that means, our understanding of this, our like this sort of attitude towards Gosre, no, rather towards Abadar, this sort of attitude is a very post 1800s sort of attitude. Historically speaking, a city, well, actually, it's kind of complicated. The distinction of nature from nature in city, obviously, is a wrong distinction, and it's wrong because everything is nature. Like, even our own stuff is nature, in the sense that it is all part of the natural world, and all of it has influence over the natural world, and it's subject to the whims, let's put it like that, of the natural world. So it is all nature, but of course we're not talking about those terms in specific. It is not, and what we're talking about is this conflict, and I can't speak of how it was because I didn't study any of that, but I do know of how it was in the medieval age, because I didn't study any of that. But I do know how the Greeks, or rather the Hellenics, saw their city, or rather their polis. No, is it polis, or is it? No, it is polis. No, is it polis? Yeah, it is polis. The word polis, the Greek word for city. And they saw it as a holistic system rather than what we see as, you know, urban, the herb, basically, which is the better term. In fact, the god of the herbs wouldn't be it would be a cool name, god of the herbs. Like, that's cool, right? If you write that thing in your fantasy setting, that's a cool thing. but it also makes sense. It makes a lot more sense than the God of Cities, because a city doesn't have to be an urbanized setting. And the Greeks, or again, the Hellenics, certainly were aware of that. And when I say this holistic understanding of a city, I mean they had that's the reason why they were independent cities rather than just part of a bigger country, and they were very they had different laws and all this sort of stuff. There's a lot of political reasons why they were like that as well. The Hellenic people in general a lot less unified than the Romans were during the same time. Oh, well, I say during the same time, at least from 17th century BC and after. And what they did is the cities of the Greeks, they were comprised of the Urb for sure, which I think they have a different name, and I don't know the name. It might be Polis, because I think Urb is Latin. But it was confined of the urbanized area, but also of the fields. It was comprised of the fields that was part of the city, of the mountain as well, which was an important source of resources, namely wood and stone and a bunch of other things, and just pasture for goats and other stuff, not just the fields. And I think there's a third one. Oh, the sea as well. That's right. So there were. I remember studying this in university when I learned about classic history. More detail, and this was a very specific and a very specific thing that I learned because it's very influential in their art. And my degree in archaeology is also very concerned with the art of the Greeks, because that's the archaeological spoils that we get, but of the Greeks and other people. But still, art is a very it's influenced by all this stuff. So for them to see city as both the mountain and the fields and the houses and the ocean, all of that was a city. You can see how different their understanding is from our modern romantic-inspired understanding of what a city is. So yeah, and so while I can't speak of how it was in the medieval age, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It's another thing when I'm saying this is anachronistic. It's anachronistic. It doesn't fit the setting. It doesn't fit the setting because it also would mean, what it would mean is that there is the industrialization of the city, of what we call the city, is a fundamental factor of this distinction between, quote, nature, unquote, and the cities, but also it is a specific factor in the popularization of nature as a green thing, or just as an entity that is detached of human influence because of things like pollution and also the rise of sensibilities for non-natural art and architecture in specific. Not that people didn't have architecture before, obviously they did, but you saw a bridge in the middle of a field, and you see a bridge in the middle of a field, and it's still part of nature, and it was historically seen as part of nature. And it's just it didn't spoil anything. It's just a thing that you did, and you made a house in there, and it's still the same thing. And so you look at a city, and you don't see that distinction historically speaking. But I ramble. This is an interesting subject, though. I might be wrong on some of the things I say, by the way. Feel free to correct me in the comments if you have a better understanding than I do. I shouldn't have done what I just did, but I'll do it. I'll stick to it. Because there's certainly some things that I learned very superficially, and so I am wrong on certain things. Also, it's been more than 10 years since I learned this, and I haven't kept up with studies or anything. So anyway, Valerie is here. Gilladel, we're fighting crime in our lands, and the bandits are running scared. In fact, many of them are ready to come clean and return to civilian life. They insist that it was starvation that led them down the slippery slope, but now that the kingdom is prospering, they want to return to do honest work. Their families are flooding us with petitions for pardon. Well, it's a shame for them that we don't have... And look at me defending the feudalistic system. I'm not defending the feudalistic system. I'm just making a commentary here. It's a shame for them that we don't have a feudalistic system because, well, they wouldn't have starvation, would they? We just manage our resources so that they had their fill. We can have other systems where people don't have to go hungry, but I think we're a few centuries before that. Well, actually, I say that what I'm referring to here is the common ownership of the means of production here, so that people. Why did they starve? Why would they starve? Like, objectively speaking, like, let's take this seriously. Why did they starve? Why was that? Why was there starvation for them? Was the land just bad, or did they got robbed of their means of sowing potatoes and stuff like that? That's probably the case. That's probably that second option, which means that the means of production of potatoes, let's just use potatoes, is not of the people. In what is the means of production of potatoes? It's land. It's land. So let's just put it like that. Yes, the people don't have land because probably somebody else owns it, including. I mean, that's probably the case here, lore-wise. That's probably canon, because we've seen that happen in other events. But I'm trying to think here if it would be anachronistic for these people to demand the ownership of the means of production, because the land is certainly, in this setting, is certainly seen as being owned. And I don't. Yeah, and yeah, the answer is no. It would not be anachronistic for the land to be commonly owned by the people. And I say that because, well, I say that, and I'm a little bit torn. I'm torn because this is obviously a European-centric or European-inspired setting, and in European terms, it would be anachronistic. However, the rest of the world, or not the rest of the world, but a lot of people all over the world throughout the medieval ages and even during the modern age and even during the contemporary age, a lot of countries and nations around the world had common ownership of the land, like the First Nations of the North America continent had that. The Mayans, I believe, had that as well. Not in the cities, though. I think it was. Is it the Mayans? Or is it the Incas? There's some fascinating archaeological work regarding that stuff. And certainly people who live off more wooded areas tend to be a lot less prone to ownership of land than people who, like, this is sort of a trend, but it's not a law or anything. But if you look at history, people who a history of anywhere in the world, the countries that tend to have more wooded lands tend to be less prone to ownership of the land. And this sort of stopped being a factor around the turn of the millennium, from the first millennium to the second millennium of the Common Era. But it sort of is that. It's sort of funny to observe that, and there's like pragmatical reasons why that would be the case. But it also tends to have the reasons of the political infrastructures that are required for maintaining a non-wooded area, because of, like, building houses is a problem. So it's a fascinating subject. Anyway, the point is, it wouldn't be anachronistic, but it would require a very, very different understanding of people and the world from what this game clearly understands, and people in this setting clearly understand. So it would be totally out of place for them to all of a sudden be like, we just need to have land of our own, because that's the solution here, by the way. That's the solution here. All they need is land. Is that a thing? I'm thinking if it is a thing like that you do. It is a thing that you do, for example, for refugees. Maybe not these days, because all these problems are exacerbated in the 21st century, in the 20th century, in real life. But it is historically a thing that refugees are given land to leave. And of course, it also has to do with just what is required to live in our modern day. So it's just there's another reason. You don't just need food. You need other things as well, is what I mean to say. And there's other reasons why this is it becomes a very complicated issue, the more complex your setting becomes. But in this setting, where people just mostly need food and shelter, they just need land. That is a solution for all their problems. Let's see if the game is going to come to the same conclusion as I do, or if they're just going to, I don't know, say something else that is zany. Yeah, let's see. I considered it inappropriate, says Valerie. You can't pardon highwaymen and murderers and let them live in peace among their victims. Every single one of them must answer for their crimes. Yeah, it's not a very deep thing. It's just what it is. I should point out that the only reason they're highwaymen and murderers and not guards is because I wasn't the one who employed them. They were self-employed. But effectively, they were guards. They were just, you know, killing the wrong people, quote unquote. I mean, I'm sure they killed innocent people. It's probably the case, but the thing is, you know, the guards also do that, including killing these things. It's... That's the thing. The only reason why they're bandits is because the law says that they are. And I say they are, obviously, because I'm the law. What choices do we have? Mine is, oh, it's just a... It doesn't matter much. Yeah, you should find a solution yourself. I don't care which one you choose. The stability one, yeah. Let them turn themselves in and face a fair trial for their deeds. There will be no general pardon. Off you go. No solution for anything. No considerations given about any of the implications that option forces on the setting. That's a shame. Not a new thing, unfortunately. Not a surprise. So, Valerie, let's... Ooh, the fog. The deadly fog is terrorizing our people. That probably means that I failed at the fog. Which means that I didn't. No, I didn't. I did not fail. I was going to reload there. A sinister fog has entered our lands from neighboring Ustalav. The crunch of bones and the hiss of horrid beasts fills the impenetrable veil. The people are afraid to leave their homes. Are there enough brave men and women to take up arms and torches and venture forth into the fog? I thought that was a new thing. It was not. The storyteller has been strengthened. The protectors of land has been completed, which was not a dice roll, so that's pretty good. Do we have a mission for the fog? No. P for prosperity. The Regent demands your presence. To the throne room, then. Regent, what do you want to talk to me about? Gilladel, your kingdom is growing bigger. No matter how many advisors you hire, your officers can't address every problem and issue. A monarch should have vassals. Knights, mayors, guild leaders, local chiefs, and elders. It is they that form the natural aristocracy, the high society of any kingdom. There was a time when bandit chiefs were the aristocracy of the stolen lands. They weren't bandits. They weren't bandits. They were the aristocracy. But we put an end to that. Yeah, we killed them. Many knights of honor now look to serve you, to become your faithful vassals and enforce the laws of your land. You really need to be super deluded to not see this, by the way. If you're role-playing in a setting like this, you need to be super deluded to not see yourself as basically another bandit chief. Not in the sense like, you don't want to call yourself that. That's fine. Whatever. But there's no reason why you would think that the bandit chiefs that came before you as the queen of the stolen lands, there's no reason to think that the bandit chiefs just went around pillaging and raping instead of just going around and you know, asking people for, like, their, what's the word? You know, a contribution so that they can have an army and defend them and hunt bandits down and all that sort of stuff. Why would you think that? Like, if you're role-playing in the setting, why would you think, the bandit chief, who was it? Who was their name? Oh, it was the Mark the Third, it was the bandit chief there. Oh, Mark the Third. I heard he was really bad. He liked gravy, I hear. And no, he was, says your historian says, no, they were good. They all helped the people. Yeah, but they were still bandit chiefs. Yeah. No, not yet. The reason why you're bandit is because you're outside of the law. Or not outside of the law, but rather, you know, because you're doing something that is illegal. The reason why you're a mafia, or member of the mafia, is because you're doing something illegal. Because if it weren't illegal, you'd be doing the same exact thing, and you wouldn't be mafia. It's just, you can do exactly the same thing as long as it's legal. You're not a bandit. You're not a mafia. Banditry is not murder, for example. You know, sure. I mean, you are a bandit and you murder, and murder is outside the law. You're necessarily a bandit because you're murdering. But what I mean is, banditry is not an actual thing. If you distribute pirated copies of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, you're a bandit because you're doing something illegal. But if that's not illegal, you're not a bandit, and you're doing exactly the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, And you see that. I mean, you see this in this game, but you see this time and again in some fiction. Not well. It tends to be. It does tend to be in sort of like fiction where you deal specifically with the ruling. Because there was another. No, actually, it isn't. I saw this come up a couple of times in another game, and I'm trying to remember which one it is. It was. And I think it was Atom RPG. And funnily enough, Atom RPG is written by Russians. And so is this game. So what I'm thinking is maybe there's a word in Russian that doesn't mean bandit, but that can be translated into bandit. Like, for example, a raider. A raider is an interesting word because it means somebody who raids, who steals specifically, or who can, well, at least, it has incursions and just goes and does mean things. So raiding is a specific action. Banditing is not an action. So you being a bandit doesn't actually tell anything about what you do, but you being a raider says something about what you do. Conversely, you being a bandit says something about your state regarding the law, but being a raider doesn't. For example, a pirate is the same... Is it the same thing? Yeah, a pirate is the same thing. A pirate doesn't... If you are a pirate who... Like, yeah, a pirate is the same thing. Piracy is necessarily outside of the law. It is a specific type of action, for sure, but if you do that action when within the law, you're a privateer, or you don't need to be a privateer. Privateer necessarily means somebody not of the army, historically speaking anyway, but you could be part of the army and do the same action as a pirate does. So yeah, bandit and pirate are two funny words like that, because it doesn't actually say... Well, the pirate does. You being a pirate does say what you do, but it's more regarding your state regarding the law than necessarily what you do. Specifically in regards to being a bandit, that doesn't say what you do. Because for all I know, you're just pasting posters from the Japanese pop band, and apparently that's illegal, and you're a bandit. You know what I mean? It's like... Anyway, I ramble about these things, but the thing is, it might be a translation error, but it wouldn't surprise me for it to just be a hint into the minds of the writers, because this settings, writing fiction like this, in fiction in general, but fiction specifically where you change the society drastically enough that a lot of things get implications that are not like second nature to us as people from the 21st century. You really do need to question a lot more of your assumptions when you write than when you write things that are just take place in our setting, in our world, or in the setting that's similar to our world. So it is possible that it's just that the writers don't see things as I do. I think they're wrong if they don't see things as I do, but the point is they might not even be wrong enough, or they might not have even thought about it to be wrong. They just might have not ever thought about it, and it's just a throwaway line over there. But it is a recurring enough theme and a recurring enough sort of mistake that it does make me think that it's... I don't know. It's also... The thing is, this is also a sort of goofy, childlike setting, and there's so many like serious subjects that are brought up by any of these dialogues that it is a little bit weird to talk about them in a childlike setting like this. It's a childish setting because it's supposed to be like goofy and fun and whatnot in a lot of things. At least that's my interpretation. So Valerie says, there was a time when bandit chiefs were the aristocracy of the Stolen Lands, but we put an end to that. Many Knights of Honor now look to serve you, to become your faithful vassals and enforce the laws of your land. It's only natural that the law now rests on the shoulders of your royal vassals, not, quote, representatives of the people, unquote. I'm not even going to get into all the worrisome implications of why that is between quotes, because I don't even understand what she means by that, let alone the implications of that. Mayors and chiefs come and go, but aristocrats remain, committing themselves to a ruler and raising worthy successors from a young age. Even though they have zero obligation, or rather, they have zero... There's no incentive for Also, aristocracy doesn't mean what she's saying, but whatever, it can mean what she's saying. there's no incentive for them to actually raise worthy successors. There's zero incentive for that. They just do that out of their own goodness of their hearts or sense of commitment to the people that they preside over. Historically speaking, they do, but also they don't, because there's no incentive. The system sucks. It's just a terrible system. That's why representatives of the people is a better system, because they do have an incentive to be good, because they are the one. They have they're what's the word? Accountable. That's what they are. They're obliged by the nobility that naturally arises from their responsibility to their subjects. Yeah, the ones that are. Sure, do whatever. I will personally select those whose ambitions equals their talent. They will be powerful enough not only to give people orders, but to protect them. You will have nothing to worry about. It doesn't matter who they are. These warriors will be your loyal vassals, reliable and just. I'll make sure of it. It doesn't matter who they are, she says, as she goes off to choose monarchs. Or nobility, anyway. Nazriel shows up, gives me Chainbreaker's chainmail. Nice alliteration. And the end of the episode as well, because we're out of time for today. So for right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Pathfinder Kingmaker. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.